Hello and welcome, one and all. Hopefully you enjoy this YouTube video that we are recording primarily with the goal of YouTube in mind, because, of course, if you weren't here on the live stream, I had a lot of lag issues, which forced me not to be able to cover this game. So here I am, the day after, recording it via replay. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. So it's game number 3 in the grand finals of the ESL NA Cup. And I am really excited to see who wins this. In the bottom right is the ever young, very talented, super French Terran. It's Clem. Rockin', of course, nowadays on Team Liquid. And to the top left from Infinity Gaming, we have the Swedish Red Zerg player, currently residing in Canada, Namshar. Now this is particularly important because we unfortunately don't have any actual bona fide North Americans really ever in the top 4, much less grand finals. Namshar kind of hits home as he's been in, I believe, I want to say East Coast Canada, but him versus Clem I think has been a really good series up to this point. If you didn't see the prior games, hopefully we'll get those posted on YouTube eventually as well, but just for now this is like a standalone YouTube thing. So yeah, make sure to like the video or something. Finger guns. Clem and Namshar, I think in normal settings, like you put these guys at a LAN, Namshar's got experience over Clem. Namshar's been in a lot of tournaments. He's got the environments, but none of that really matters because this is all online. This is for that ESL finals. You know, there's $200 for the winner of this match, $100 for the loser. I don't think anyone here is going to be too upset about losing, but obviously they both play to win. And Namshar and Clem, I think, are just like a really good matchup. I didn't think this would be the case. In fact, I think I was pretty blatantly stating my overt Terran bias towards Clem during the live cast. But yeah, Namshar pulling off some good stuff. Clem pulling off some good stuff. And frankly, I was kind of hoping we'd end up on one of the weirder maps just to see what they'd have in store. Of course, their vetoes, their picks. They're probably not going to pick Purity and Industry anytime soon. So with Nightshade and I think Eternal Empire being kind of the more standard maps in the game, without crazy expansions or wild gimmicks, it's a pretty straightforward map for a very straightforward TVZ. So far, at least, with no cheese. Namshar, of course, has to play this little dance that is the early game, back and forth with the Reaper. This bad boy is going to be trying to kill these Zerglings because he wants to have as little resistance as possible when the Queen spawns. Ooh! Spawning right next to that Reaper was terrifying for a second, but Clem actually pulls away a-okay. Yeah, the goal is with that Reaper to stop that first creep tumor if at all possible, and you watch some players do it. It just looks so easy. And then you have moments like this where Namshar puts up a fight against Clem and he just barely can't get in there. But back on the other side of the field, looks like we got tech swaps going around. Hellions should be coming out shortly. Third command center actually in the main base. This is quite noteworthy for 2 different reasons. One, obviously it's a lot safer to be in the main base than trying to putting it on location. Oh, he wanted that creep tumor so bad. I think you could have got it at the cost of the Reaper, but that would not have been worth it. Anyways, third CC in the main going up. It's better than showing your hand and putting it on location. It's way too risky with early game lings, especially. But the Overlord sitting out here hasn't scouted it yet. He won't get a read on what Clem's doing. This is a very expensive investment for a Terran player to make. It's not just the 400 for the command center. It's the additional 150 for the orbital. This is a huge, this is almost 1,000 minerals, $1,000, just that you won't be able to invest in defensive things like Hellions or bunkers or whatever. And sometimes if a Zerg player sees that, that's like blood in the water. That's go time. But Namshar is not really that type of Zerg player, so I don't feel like it's that important. And I think that's probably why we see the later Overlord scout, because it's really not a priority. Well, Clem's got a couple Hellions back at home. He's poking around a little bit on the front line, but I think we're we're getting word from our news team. This just in, there's a car chase apparently on the highway. We're gonna go to our Copperman Dan in the cam. Dan, what do you see?
Hey, yeah, this is Dan in the chopper cam with the warty eye in the sky. We got a little bit of turbulence here, but we got some Hellions burning rubber down the middle of the map. Really causing some trouble here for the Zerg.
Well, thank you, Dan. Back to our regular... I'm not even gonna pretend like that was cool, guys. That was just fun and silly. But In all seriousness, the Hellions out the front line are supposed to make it more difficult for Namshar to be spreading creep, but I had to stop my goofiness because actually Namshar is handling this like a boss. The Queens have been positioned so well that Hellions can't get in there to snipe off any of these tumors. Namshar is also being very careful as to how he's spreading them, because obviously if he spreads them too much in the north, then they're open, the Hellions are going to pick them off, same to say with the south. At some point, Clem's going to burn a scan for creep, but Namshar is doing everything he can to make sure that that scan comes out, say, over here rather than over here. So 4 Queens out on the front line is a more than capable force at stalling out these harassing units. And while there's a lot more units for Clem, sure, the idea is that these aren't really supposed to be frontline fighters. These are really run around the Queens and kill all the drone fighters, given the opportunity. Ooh, funneling some lings in like that won't feel too good. Ah, here comes the second prong attack. So, uses the Banshees actually to clean up the creep tumors. I don't hate this move. I thought with the cloak, though, he was going to go straight for the mineral line and try and kill as many drones as possible. Usually, this Banshees can pick up 4 or 5 pretty easily. But having these as frontline fighters, they're helping chew away at the Queens. They're burning a lot of transfuses. Hellions get caught by the Zerglings over here on the right side. Big surround out of Clem, or out of Namshar. Clem does put his back to a wall, though, and trades out pretty decently. Not quite the perfect one-to-one trade out, but not bad at all considering he got caught. Now, regrettably, that was a lot of effort put in to achieve trading out with Zerglings and not killing more than 6 creep tumors. So this was really not a great start for Clem. And what's really important to note here, well, actually, there's some external factors to note, but as we see, in terms of the game pacing, this is, there's going to be a follow-up push, right? It's how it happens. The 2 tanks, it's the Marines, sometimes you pull some SCVs. And the idea is that they usually don't have a lot of creep protecting them, but with this creep being layered out like 2 or 3 times, Clem's gonna have to stop and clean up creep, lest he fights on the creep and gives Namshar the advantage. But the outside factor I was gonna mention was, at the time of this game being live, it was like, gosh, 10, no, not 10, probably like 8 or 9 Pacific. So really, really late in Europe. Not exactly early either for Namshar. East Coast, that's like midnight time. And then Europe's like another 6 hours ahead of East Coast. So yeah, Clem's playing this at like 6 a.m. or something crazy. All right, so as mentioned, he does have to clean up the creep. It is pretty impossible to take this fight against Banelings with or without speed, with such a small amount of units on creep. Namshar is being very quick to band-aid the creep damage, though. 2 more tumors going right up on the front line. That's going to negate all the damage Clem just did. Meanwhile, we have a ling round by over here on the right side. It's going to catch the reinforcements out of Clem. Getting the siege tank would have been primo. A little bit awkward there with the pathing. Scanning again, but this time without grabbing much. Ooh, scan ran out. A little awkward. Could fight the Queens, but obviously you want to fall back to the tank fire. These tanks are going to protect those Marines against the Zerglings and against the Banelings. Left side hive nearly done though for Namshar, and yeah, this is a first off, this is a pretty quick hive. But the fact that Namshar felt he could get away with this is really bold. I didn't even notice it in the production tab because I really wasn't expecting this to be the case. But Namshar, with all of his money, man, he's on 73 drones. He swarms the middle of the map. He's going to absolutely crush this push out of Clem and come out of this on hive tech. Are you kidding me? Clem's only just started 2-2. Oh my god, that's a lot of Banelings to deal with and a lot of Zerglings. With some focus fire from that tank, he could make his life a little bit easier. SCVs get exploded in the middle line while this goes on, and Clem, this is some pretty nasty damage, let's be honest. Oh, that's so sick. I've only ever seen Beyond do this. Oh my god, is Clem the actual next Beyond? I'm sorry, YouTube. I know when you hate when I break the pacing and rewind, but we got it because this was so cool. So what ends up happening here is mules drop, but even though they're not on the ground, they still physically block units because they are real units, even though they're free units. So he I don't know if he would have trapped them in with the Marines. There's a very likely chance he would have killed everything anyways, but he guaranteed, it's like Terran force fields, temporary, less than a second. But there's a really cool moment where Beyond did this a long time ago. And I don't think I've seen anyone pull off the move quite since. Now, granted, the one with Beyond was Ultralisks and a little different, but either way, Clem, you've sort of fired my heart, sir. How dare you? That was really cool. Ultra's Cavern coming up at home. Looks like this is that Banshee from earlier doing a little bit of damage now. Keep in mind, up to this point, Namshar really hasn't suffered hardly any economic losses, so this really is a Zerg player unleashed. This is a Zerg player who has been uncontested for this game. Just getting away with everything, man. Income off the charts, even though, well, actually, hold on. Sorry, I was watching the Banshee. Clem was doing surprisingly well. I guess they just saw the SCV losses and thought, but of course, then he dropped the 3 mules. So he's holding on for a little bit, but now that the mules are gone, that's really going to tip back in Namshar's favor. Now with this many banelings roaming around the map, it's not going to be easy to get drops off. It's not going to be able to push anything. I think Clem knows he can't sit at home all day either. He's got to get these bases established while providing a little bit of harassment, because any attention or any units that are being diverted to, say, chase a Banshee or stop one drop, these are units that are not attacking. And that's going to be the best way for Clem to really get his base going, because right now my dude has fairly good income from those mules. As I mentioned, though, it's going to start going back in Namshar's favor without. But he's also got tech. Like, look, we got drilling claws coming down. We got concussor shells, 2-2s finished. Clem's actually in a pretty good place despite that pretty awful fight. And a lot of this just goes right back to like having good macro. And you know, sometimes you think about macro, it's not just about mining minerals and efficiently spreading bases. It is about constantly keeping that production up so you don't fall behind. You know, how many games can you recall watching where it ends up being a very low tech PvZ, right? No weapon upgrades, only charge, stuff like that. It's one of those things where you just fall behind no matter how good your fights are because you don't have the technology behind it. Same thing applies in this matchup, of course, as any other, but for Clem, he's made sure that that isn't a problem, and that really deserves some praise, because most Terran players would not be in this kind of position after having their first attack crushed and counterattack the way he did. But Ultralisks don't make things easier. Namshar doesn't have a maxed out army supply because he's been building very expensive units. And between the Banelings and the Ultras, which again have chitinous plate and they've got the armor upgrades, it's not going to be easy for these Marines to do much. The Marauders somehow survived that wing attack. What the flip? I'm just like challenging my knowledge of StarCraft right now. Like, how did those Marauders not get killed? But Drilling Claws is going to be super helpful. Not for the Ultras necessarily, but for catching some of the Banelings. We are going to have a Baneling attempt at a run by, but a Banshee from earlier. Oh man, this Banshee has paid for herself so many times over. Cleaning up some of the creep, just now denying the Banelings. But forget what I'm talking about the Banshee. Is the spread out of Clem going to be good enough? There's almost no Banelings left. The tanks did a really good job taking out most of the Banelings, but these Ultras are still a big problem. Reinforcements flood in. Oh, but Namshar is also starting to go a little out of bounds. Like, he's really reaching off of the creep like that. Oh my god, does he have what is this stupid upgrade called? Anabolic synthesis. You know, most of the time we see Ultras in play, the game doesn't get to the state where you have this upgrade, but just so you know, it's a little tailwind. Sorry, that's how I noticed it. See a little blur behind him because they're moving so fast. Although it only gives them a movement speed off of creep, but not important for now. Liberation zone set up, but it's got to shoot the Ultras, not the Zerglings. So hard to focus fire though when chaos is going on. He's continuing to kite backwards with the bio. Somewhere else, workers are dying. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Something killed some drones, cool beans, whatever. This attack pulls right back to the production once again, and these tanks are getting demolished. That being said, though, SimCity worked out really well. So Banelings exploded at the very end. But I think what I just saw happen was this tank drew the attention of 2 different Ultralisks that could not reach it because it's nestled between the sensor tower and the factory and the tech lab of the command center. Oh my god, that's actually amazing. This tank is a god, by the way. 23 kills, and some of those were Banelings that were going to hit the wall. Oh, fan-freaking-tastic, boys. Now, of course, there's a drop looking to go off in the main. There's not really a huge damage potential here, but this will be the first time, maybe all game, Namshar's had to deal with the main base. As I mentioned, he's been very uncontested up to this point, and it's not a problem. Clem is one of these players who's really good at playing it slow. You know, he'll drag the game to the 30-minute mark. We watched a series with him for Silky, which I think is actually up on YouTube already, if I'm not mistaken. And that game, that was nuts. That was bonkers. That was like a 35-minute game or something. And Clem just kept it very calm and just won through perseverance, I feel. And I think we're gonna have to see a little bit of that here. That Liberator is super dead. All right, +3 armor, now done with +3 weapons. Clem's fully upgraded. I didn't even see what that was. Don't even know if I care. I was gonna actually, if it was a Ghost Academy though, I was gonna bring up the topic of ghosts. Something Clem does use in this matchup, but he's chosen to go down the path of Liberators this game. And obviously, I don't think there's any problem with Liberators. Liberators are pretty good, most people will tell you as well, but it's the fact that there's so many Corruptors that it seems like a weird thing to build into. I would imagine ghosts would maybe be better, easier. At least I wouldn't die as easily. Speaking of liberators, that tank, oh god, that good boy tank who's been alive for so long goes down. Rest in peace, man. You saved so many lives. Good guys, save lives. Planetary Fortress is going to help a ton here. Even though we have Caustic Spray going into it, he is forced to withdraw because of the missile turret. And, you know, it's bad trades like this that are starting to cost Namshar that lead. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think this was a bad trade per se. He does kill 31 workers, more than that. So this is like a very worthwhile attack. But what I draw your attention to is the combination of Namshar's bank and the resources lost, right? Even though he kills 34 workers, and that should be devastating to Clem, we're actually we're rapidly approaching the phase of the game where Terran players they're okay with losing workers because mules will cover the difference. And then that opens up more supply for army. And that's exactly what we saw in that Silky game I had referenced moments ago, where Clem just had like 150 army supply. Pretty content losing workers to build more marauders. Now that's not the case here. He is replacing the SCVs, but I'm just saying we're getting to that point. So sometimes these kills aren't so bad, and it ends up being Namshar. You know, he's throwing away so much gas. It's so costly. You know, these banelings up here that get killed, these only count the ones that get sniped. They don't count the ones that explode on their own. Hundreds of banelings I'm sure have been used this game already. It's a little bit dangerous having the medevacs out front like that, but it is better than having the Liberator exposed to the corruptors, I guess. Another run by on the backside. Namshar, man, with these Raider Lings just all over the place. Clem can't catch a break. Now these Widow Mines. Oh, that was like a Widow Mine high five. That was so cool. So they kill all the Zerglings there. This one's still causing a lot of chaos. Of course, with Adrenal Glands, it only takes one Zergling to kill a lot of units. Widow Mines pop off, scumbag some of the Terran units with some friendly fire, but I think the amount of Marauders left over is going to be okay. There's not many Marines to fire back against the Corruptors, so that's a little awkward and funny, but yeah, Namshar realizing, wait a minute, I'm pretty deep off of creep. If he keeps chasing, he's going to lose units. And remember, I go back to this, Namshar's got all these bases, but he doesn't have a lot of mining going on through all these bases, so he doesn't exactly have the money to remake 10 Ultralisks, put him back out on the front line. Looks like the Liberator's been cleared up again. How many Liberators have died? It's not been that big of an investment. 8 of them. 131 Marines, and by the way, just casually nearly 500 Lings. This has been a pretty active game, and they've both been spending a lot. Oh, come on. Now I got blue balls. That's not okay. That's not fair. Yeah, Widow Mine production should continue. It's going to help with the Corruptors too a little bit, but through all these engagements, I think one thing's pretty consistently true. It's just if you can survive the Banelings as a Terran player, you can kite down whatever's left. And Altars are not exactly very maneuverable units, and 2 of them get mowed down immediately before the fight even really begins. 16 health barely escapes. Right side Corruptors, I guess, went in. This is where, oh, first off, rest in peace, that sensor tower. That was actually really nice to have. Clem gets a big scan to the top right. This Liberator's denying not just drones and mining, but production here at the space as well. He's gonna pull out, realizing Corruptors are on the way. I wish more people knew how to pull out. You know what I'm saying? This Widow Mine, though. Oh. I guess it's gonna hit these. It's not bad. Today I learned a Baneling Cocoon has enough HP to survive a Widow Mine. Wait, so would that mean, hold up, if you knew a bunch of Zerglings were gonna die, would it be worth morphing them into Banelings and then canceling because they would survive the Widow Mine shot? This is some big brain Zerg plays. Oh my god, that Widow Mine got a lot of the Zerglings underneath it too. Like, you see the shot go off on the Corruptor, not realizing it hits like 17 Zerglings alongside with it. Goes for the full surround. No chance to repair this. Oh my god, that planetary gets absolutely destroyed. Nuked into oblivion. Now, luckily, there was another base that was moving over. Now it's going to just replace the one that went down. Top right base denied from mining. And as I said earlier, Namshar has all these bases, but he just hasn't had consistent mining. He's had consistently more income than Clem, but every time he has to pull away from a base or the Liberator comes in or a base goes down, Namshar's lead kind of gets temporarily reset. Or I should say temporarily paused. Because a lot of the way Namshar is taking these fights, oh god, the depots were down. Like, look at the resources lost. Like, this is Namshar just throwing bodies. This is the Zap Brannigan Zerg strategy. Just throwing body after body into the kill bots until you reach the maximum kill setting. And it's been costly, and it's been working for some of these, you know, killing a lot of workers, killing bases, shutting down a planetary fortress. Oh my god, was this a tower defense over here? Just walking down the middle, letting those Marauders free fire. Oh my god, it cost him 2 of the ultras, no less. But yeah, as I was saying, this is like, for Namshar, been so costly. I don't want to say careless, because that's definitely not the word I would use, but it looks that way when you just take a casual look at the resources lost. But Namshar has been taking pretty good fights. And again, he's been shutting down bases. How many SCVs have died this game? 89, by the way. Casually, 50 more workers have died than the Zerg drones. So, I mean, Namshar's been getting work done. The big question at the end of the day was, how worth was it? Because right now, 40,000 resources lost, it's not feeling super worth. Namshar doesn't have some bank. He's not even maxed out. This is the big problem with what he's been doing. But of course, once he gets maxed out again and his economy's going, then he'll start throwing bodies at Clem and repeat the process, begin the cycle anew. I think one big drawback I'm a little worried about for Clem is, you've heard me many times before, I'm sure, praise how fast he is. He's very active, as well, as you can tell from the constant engagements around the map. One of my big concerns for him is these medevacs. I think every single medevac he has right now is out of energy, minus the new ones. So this is kind of hitting this point where Marauders and Marines, as you all know, are pretty bad without medevacs. So when they don't have any healing, this is going to start really flopping around in terms of who's winning these fights again. Not to mention medevacs just straight up dying anyways, but hey, that's more reason to build new ones that have energy, right? Command center lifts off, gonna fly a little bit away. Marauders getting shut down. Left side's got this creep cleanup crew. I mean, you know what really gives you a good idea on the pacing of this game? It is truly the creep spread down the middle. The top half of the map is like, it's 50-50 with creep for the most part of this game. I'm not even talking about specifically right now, but I am also referencing specifically right now that there's just been a lot of creep for Namshar, but never quite over into Clem's field. Same to say for Clem, like he's done a really good job cleaning it up, but never cleaned it up enough to really push into these bases comfortably. And I think one of the problems I'm worried about for Namshar here in the late game is we do hit this point 20 minutes in, 21 minutes in, where you're not necessarily thinking about spreading creep anymore with your queens, but Namshar's still on it. This is persistence. Now, granted, these have a lot of energy, and it clearly could be cleaning up better. I believe we need to rewind. Was that a Widow Mine drop? What the hell was that? Instant replay time, guys. It was. Oh my god. As my favorite character from Community, Magnitude, likes to say. Pop, pop! Oof. 28 workers. I don't even know if Clem realizes how sick that was. Like, that looks like you kill a normally saturated bait. Oh, you got 16 worker kills. No big deal. 28 from overstacking them. Oh my god. Okay, a lot of new medevacs have been built. This is good. This gives him more energy to work with, and I really think this was a silent killer for Clem. He was taking a lot of really fun, good fights, but doing it without the ability to heal up the stim damage. So always dealing a little bit too much damage to himself in that regard. But Widow Mines are out here. Marauders are cutting back to the best of their capabilities. There's a lot to work with and against, but this base is probably dead. Lifts it instead, loses the SCVs. This one's on fire. God, there's no breathing. There's no breathing against Namshar, guys. Just suffocating me in. These ultras coming in are almost dead. Like a couple of good focus shots here, and those ultras, like 3 or 4 of them die easily. He's also trying to, oh, he's going to lose the command center, despite his best efforts to lift it up and drop it and lift it up and drop it. Okay, that's God, how many bases have died now? That's 1 orbital, 1 planetary. That's actually far less than I thought had died this game. Clem's bases that just keep getting lifted and denied. Actually, in comparison, there's not really crazy hatchery kills either. In fact, base kill to base kill, it's 2-2, which is wild when you consider how active this game has been and how proactive they've been on the map. I mean, these fights have been endless for 23 minutes, dudes. It's too much fighting. No man can handle such fighting. Only the French and the Namshar. More Widow Mines. You know, the best thing about these is they don't always have to get some amazing shot, right? You don't need to get a 13 kill Widow Mine to be worth it. They're very cost effective. They're very cheap. And as long as they're not dying for like a single Zergling, they're pretty much always going to trade out for something worth But I think the biggest draw to these right now is dealing with the corruptors, man. There's just no real great way to deal with the corruptors at the moment. Ooh, nice shot. Marines tickle them. They come with high base armor. Like 2 armor negates 2 upgrades if you want to think of it like that. So the corruptors are very difficult and been a pain in the ass. So it's a big part of why we haven't seen too much Liberator play. But I'm having this moment of realizing here we are 24 minutes in. God knows how many thousands of resources. Oh, hang on. This might be the end. Oh, no. Because while this fight goes okay over here. Oh, they were just chilling. But they're moving to the top of the ramp. I was gonna say though, no ghosts, no liberators. This has actually been like a tier 2 game for Clem against Namshar. It's like maxed out hive tech, crazy altered Baneling Zerglings. And what's really alarming about this, okay, a little bit of running around the Rosie always looks funny to see. Namshar may have overstayed his welcome. He did take in a couple of production facilities, and this is the Terran Achilles heel. But this is most importantly, this is Torn Clem left to right. Namshar? This is turning Clem left to right. Clem really can't respond to the bottom left and deal with what's going on in the bottom right simultaneously. The units aren't fast enough. There's no recall mechanic. I think Namshar just may have started the road to a victory. I say this because, yeah, the economy is screwed for Clem, right? There's no amount of mules that make up for this kind of damage, but he does have more army supply right now. But again, I'm losing my mind because I'm like, no liberators, no ghosts. I mean, look at there's like what, 8 liberators are made this game, something like that. Oh my god, there's so much has died. Jesus Christ, I've never seen this bar so full. But 123 SCVs, nearly 200 Marines, nearly 1,000 Zerglings. By the way, no big deal there. Nearly 1,000 Zerglings have died in the course of this game. When's the last time you saw 1,000 of anything dead in a game of StarCraft? I guess, well, that's not fair because I, of course, am thinking now immediately to the beliefs that Blizzard will make this game better, letting the thousands of fans down every single day. Something balance patch, something EU Zerg. Amen. I'm actually really excited for those patch changes. If you guys haven't been keeping up to date with it, I'll come more. What am I shoot off of here? The patch isn't live yet, but it will be soon-ish, and I'm excited to see how things will change. A lot of changes to Zerg, though, the Zerg are very unhappy about. And I don't know. It's funny when you think about the Queen range, because that's probably one of the bigger ones people are talking about. Queen's losing -1 range to air or whatever. In the early game, it's a big deal. In the early game, it's a really big deal. But when you think about how things have been going, like in a 26-minute match like this, we've seen like no queens involved, right? There's no transfuses on the front line, no fighting, no shooting. It's just like spreading creep. That's it. It's like that Rick and Morty meme, right? Like with the little butter robot. What is my purpose? You spread creep. Oh my god. I gotta say though, I'm really surprised. I think there's a fear in Namshar right now, because Clem's getting away with these additional bases that he should not be getting away with. And more to the point, he's got a lot of mules going into them because he's lost a lot of command centers. Sure, he also built a lot of orbitals. So making up for these losses isn't terrible. The big thing is just being in position for this fight. That's where scouting is going to really, really matter here in the late game. My god, there's so many Marauders though. 20, okay, hold up. Clem is not replaced like workers. He's been pumping pure army. I think he knows how desperate this game's gotten. And I just want to point out 29 Marauders versus 6 Ultras and 53 Lings. Honestly, the Lings are the most terrifying part of this. And if the Widow Mines do any damage to the Lings, like out of the current 53 Zerglings on the field, if the Widow Mines can take out half, let's assume every Widow Mine through its best efforts can take out half. I'm not saying they will, but let's assume they do for a second, right? Oh, fucking juicy. Moves like that, then there's no fear for the Marauders. The Zerglings are the only thing keeping these Marauders from just like laughing their ass off, kiting the Banelings and the Ultras down. And granted, there's a lot of army supply on both sides. Sure, 46 more Zerglings are on the way. That's why these Marauders can't actually just win. But also noteworthy is the way that Clem's had to split his forces. First off, I love it because he's setting up around these chokes like this is like a tower defense or something. But this is something also where I don't think there's going to be an A move battle. right? It's not going to be everybody versus everybody in the center. Somebody's going to get caught off guard a little bit, and whichever player gets caught off guard is so disadvantaged, like unbelievably disadvantaged. More to the point too, Clem just has more army supply. He's nearly maxed out again, whereas Namshar is moving towards Brood Lords. And I don't hate this move, but I can't help but wonder if it's too late. Lanes down to the south will drive off. Whoa, one of these bases. Oh, that was a good Baneling hit. Can't even hate it as a Terran player. That was just that was a T-bone. Somebody call a lawyer. Jesus. Yeah, both players playing very cautiously. 29 minutes deep. And while Clem loses out some units in the bottom left, the real contest here in the top right, man, those transfusions were on point, by the way. There's like this one missile turret. Love to see it get involved. Shoots one of the overseers. That queen who lived through her 9 lives finally does go down. A lot of this army, though, pushed very close to the edge of creep. Very scary to see, but there's no Banelings to really worry about. It's mostly just Zerglings, and mostly just Zerglings don't mean the motherfucking Clem. Meanwhile, bottom left reestablishes once more. Mules dropping, extra CCs. I mean, funny enough, it's all coming up daisies now for Clem. A comparison to Namshar, who is, you know, he's on 3 or 4 bases, he's got 63 drones. That's rad, but he's not winning these fights. Resources lost, almost 10,000 ahead or behind, depending on how you want to look at it. Over 1,000 Zerglings are dead. Over 100 Banelings dead. 1,000 Zerglings died this. 1,071 Zerglings died this game. That is insane. We got Broodlords coming out now, a few of them, and I guess what is noteworthy is because this has gone so heavily focused towards Marauders, there's no Vikings. There's hardly any Marines. I mean, the Widow Mines could maybe work. He has to focus fire them, but these Broodlords are going to be a problem. Even if it's just like 2 or 3 of them. Assuming this Namshar protects them. You know, you see, Clem's trying to, I think he's trying to leapfrog here to get in the top of the Broodlords and focus them down with the Widow Mines. He doesn't care if he's going off on the Banelings. He's trying to get the Broodlords. So by keeping the Broodlords back like that with the Widow Mines, those Marauders are able to just kind of move forward a little bit here, free fire. But this is not looking so good for Clem, guys. Broodlords aside, these fights are just not going as cost efficiently anymore. He's down in supply. His worker count's still like half that of Namshar. I feel like if Namshar plays this safe, he's got this. But you also know Clem's not going to give up till he's out of units. Not this deep in, not this committed. There's a couple of idle SCVs and maybe things here and there, but I don't think they're going to influence whether this game is a victory or a loss. In fact, I didn't even realize this until just this moment. This is a nearly mined out map. I, through this entire season of maps, have cast hundreds of games and never seen a fully mined out map on Nightshade. And we're almost there. As for Clem, at least, there's only 2 bases remaining for him that have minerals. Namshar, same up here. So there is a timer on this game. I don't know what that timer is because of the disruption to income and mining, etc. But at some point, this isn't going to be a 5.5 hour long game with a standoff of Spore Crawlers versus Ravens. This is a game that ends when somebody is broke, when somebody runs out of cash. And it's looking very much so like that's going to be Clem before it's going to be Namshar. Although, oh my god, how many mules did he just up 7 mules, guys. You ready to see the income go back in the blue just a little bit? 3,000 minerals per minute, by the way. Not shabby. Not shabby at all. Yeah, I'm not sure we can. He's starting to get Vikings out now. I feel like any Terran player that builds Vikings, you know, this stage of it, you're doing it out of desperation. You're not doing it because you want to. You know that they're not necessarily going to win the fight, but you got to do it because if you don't, you're just screwed. Another starport coming down in a very weird location. Almost feels like it's just randomly selected. Like, why put it out in the front like that? I don't know. He tried to go through some Widowmine drops. It's always cool to see. I love the consistency of this. He takes this base over here. It's not super worth it because it's already been pretty mined out, but there's a little bit of gas left. Actually, there's a lot of gas left. Although I don't think gas is going to be a limiting factor for Clem in this game so much as minerals. Oh my god, I'm telling you guys right now, though, if he gets those Widow Mines, if he somehow gets those Widow Mines under the Corruptors, this game changes entirely. Those Corruptors are the only real anti-air. I mean, sure, there's a couple of fungal growths maybe through these Infestors, but if those Widow Mines actually pop off and take out the Corruptors, then those 3 Vikings could win this game. And I'm not just saying that as like a hopeful turnaround. This might just be what happens. But so far, Namshar's done a really good job of keeping those corruptors alive. Of course, more corruptors become more broodlords, but that's where this also gets a bit fickle, because if he makes too many of the corruptors into broodlords, then he doesn't have anything left to protect said broodlords. Now, we haven't seen, I think that's like the first fungal growth of the game. Fungal growth does have some funny effects here, but oh, hold on. Are we in final fight territory? This is a big commitment, and fungal growth catch everything from Clem. He's not remaking a 15th army, guys. He's getting absolutely crushed. G. 34 minutes in. Whoo. Well, if you like videos like this and you want to see more, guys, you can always tune into our Twitch channel when we're live. Quick shout out to twitch.tv/BaseRateTV, but also make sure you like the video, subscribe, etc. I'll see you guys for the next cast.